sat there and looked at it and I said, Mum, I can't eat this anymore. You're making me fat. She was so devastated. One thing I really, really believe in is that we don't eat nutrients, we eat food.
So I think it's important for people to know that you do put that care into recipes. There's certain famous chefs who deliberately f up their recipe books.
Do you know what, Emily? I think you just need to slim down your thighs. I think you put more jobs. And I look back now and I think, how dare you? You asked me when I was a kid, would I write recipe books? I would have laughed at you. Yeah. I think it's criminal that we prey on people's insecurities and vulnerabilities to make money out of health. My body became a mass equation. And I remember overnight literally not being able to sit down and eat with my family anymore. Health and nutrition and eating doesn't need to be revolutionized at every single corner. It doesn't need to be new, it doesn't need to be trendy. It can just be. We need to just be more present in our days and in our life and how we're living and how we feel.
I thought we'd just be really honest and say, you've got a book coming out.
Oh, the book's out.
Yeah, oh wait, can we seriously start there?
Yeah,
because
absolutely,
look, I actually do want to talk about your book.
Yeah.
People want to buy it.
Yeah.
And they want to hear about it. So can we start there?
Let's start there.
Yeah, tell us about the book.
So I've just published my third cookbook, So Good Express, which is very, very exciting. I mean, it's a #1 Sunday Times bestseller again. So that's 3 in a row.
Well done.
And I think the thing that's quite cool is, like, if you asked me, and I'm not going to go straight back to my childhood, but if you asked me when I was a kid, would I write recipe books? I would have laughed at you. Like, what on earth? But now I think back to the romantic side of cookbooks and recipe books. I remember, like, flitting through the pages of, like, Nigella Lawson's one, because they were like the ones that my mum had, and the pages would be like crusty, and if it was a birthday, my mum would be like, oh, Em, can you get that book? And I'd get a chair, climb up onto the shelf, pull the book down, and it was covered in, like, cocoa powder because it was the birthday cake one. And I always think that books have this really beautiful, tactile romanticness about them, and coming from someone from social media, I still love to be able to have that romantic view of how people cook from books. So I love doing the recipe books. So the recent one is literally accessible, simple, speedy, realistic nutrition. My favorite thing was my first review was a 1-star on Amazon. So someone said it was too quick. And I was like, that's kind of the point.
Okay, can I just say, I've got a quick trick for you.
Yeah, tell me.
And Natasha is my daughter. She did some stuff at Edinburgh last year. And there was someone who got from the Scotsman, he got like 1 star out of 5. And he put a big poster going, A star.
Oh, very good.
So I think you should do that. Just
very good. Yeah.
So you are already one of those as well. But carry on, because I sort of interrupted and I felt you had more to say about it.
No, but, like, I mean, that's it. And I think I love being able to publish books, because I think that people's relationships with food and cooking through books is a little bit more present and a little bit different to social media. And it's that weird balance of course, my business has been built through social, but I love doing the recipe books because it just brings it back down.
Your recipes are, so I can't say who the other person is, but someone came up to me today and said, oh, I'm really looking forward to the Emily English one, because I did a recipe from X, and I'm not saying what X is.
Yeah.
And then I did one from Emily, and it actually was quick and it actually worked. So I think it's important for people to know that you do put that care into recipes, because I think, I don't know if you know, but there's certain famous chefs who deliberately fuck up their recipe books. Did you know that?
Really?
100%. I'm not even joking. I can name 2. I won't. One's in Asian cooking, one is in British cooking. And they deliberately do not want you to know their tricks. I'm not joking, right? But that's not you. You actually want the people who, and that's shocking, but it's true. But certainly not Leon. But I think it's important that feedback you get when I speak to people about you. They're like, oh my God, it is so reliable.
Yeah. But it has, if you're going to put the effort in to go and buy ingredients, to go and make something, you want it to turn out right. And there's nothing more disheartening if I love ottolenghi, but whenever I commit to making one of his recipes, A, I spend a fortune, B, I spend hours, and C, I'm just like, oh, it's all right.
Do you think that's why they wrote simple? towards the end to sort of like to try and...
Maybe. I always try and write my recipes with an idea and a focus of things that I would actually make. And I write recipes based on what I crave and comfort food, things I genuinely want to sit down and eat. So I don't let ego drive my recipe creation. And I think that's really important. And I think that's why people love my food, because you don't need to change the world. You don't need to change the wheel. Like, health and nutrition and eating doesn't need to be revolutionized at every single corner. It doesn't need to be new, and it doesn't need to be trendy. It can just be. And we all have nutrition every single day because we all sit and eat every single day. So why does it feel so intimidating?
Let's now go. There are things that you sometimes have talked about, well, you've spoken very publicly about your relationship with food, and now you have a very healthy relationship with food, and you've allowed others to have a very healthy relationship with food, which is a really important purpose. But sometimes you didn't. Is that right?
Yeah.
What happened?
So I got basically sucked into the fashion industry, and my first job was at ASOS, and I remember having a very, very happy relationship and time there. I was well looked after. I got staff discount at ASOS, and I used to go to the canteen and I used to get my ham and cheese panini and not even think about it, because I was just a teenager who used to go and get a McDonald's £1.99 wrap. Sorry, I should have said no. Not McDonald's.
Okay. I used to get McDonald's.
And that was my thing. And I'd came home and I'd sit down with my family, and we didn't have loads of money, but my mum would always cook from scratch. And I remember getting a modelling agency after that kind of protective stint of ASOS. And I come back from my first ever travelling summer, because I'd never been on a plane before, because we couldn't afford to go on holiday. And I'd always whenever I travelled, I'd find the restaurants I wanted to go to, and I'd save all the things I wanted to try, and the cuisines, because I was passionate about food. I loved food. And I remember coming down, and my agency, they make you stand in your underwear and they take photos of you, and then they sit down with these photos, literally like me and you with these photos on a table, and they say, do you know what, Emily, I think you just need to slim down your thighs. I think you put more jobs. And I mean, my hip bones have not grown since I was probably 16. I'm a small girl, and I look back now and I think, how dare you? Wow. And I don't know what it was in my brain, but it was like a switch went off in my head, and that people-pleasing nature of me that has enabled me to be very adaptable, very driven, made me incredibly driven at doing what they wanted me to do, which was to lose weight off my thighs. And what does any girl go and do? She turns straight to Google. So I Google how to lose weight off my thighs fast. And it came this whole bombardment of toxic diet culture that I've never been exposed to before. So no one in my family dieted. I didn't have any female figures who ever commented on their bodies. We were just fit and healthy family. And then I remember reading, okay, well, I can't have pasta. I can't have potatoes. Sugar is the absolute enemy and the nemesis of life. So I can't eat chocolate anymore, and I can't eat this, and I have to spiralize my courgette, and I have to make my own bread, and I could only eat goji berries, and it was the list just went on. And my body became a mass equation. And I remember overnight literally not being able to sit down and eat with my family anymore. And that was so sad, because meal times were always really important. So my mum was very strict. We sit at the dinner table and we sit and we eat as a family. There was 7 of us. It was chaotic. And I remember the exact meal that I think my mum had done, I think it was sausages and mash, my favourite meal, pork and apple sausages, homemade, organic potatoes, skin on, mashed, proper butter, loads of greens as well. She always used to get a veg box when Riverford was the first ever thing. Loads of greens, basically half your plate. And I sat there and looked at it and I said, Mum, I can't eat this anymore. You're making me fat. And I remember my mum's reaction. My mum just didn't know what to do. She was so devastated. And I went through this whole period. It was a very acute eating disorder where I got very obsessed and I lost a lot of weight very quickly. And it wasn't just about the weight, it was the life that I lost. And I think that's the thing that's really important when we speak about health and nutrition and eating. If the habits that you want and the goals that you want in your health and in your body take away more than they give your life, it is not a good thing. And health and wellness is so amazing, because I'm such a big advocate for the power of loving your food and loving your body and having that vitamin joy ingrained in between it. So I knew from the kind of split moment I was like, I don't want my life to be like this. I don't want to weigh my spinach leaves and track every single thing on my fitness pal and cry over a cheese roll that my mum was like, please just eat it. So I ended up seeing the most amazing therapist, and I was a bit of a science buff at school, and I didn't know if I wanted to go to university to do human physiology or biochemistry. And I thought, do you know what? I'm going to go and do the job that I never actually thought was a real job or took seriously, and that's nutrition. So I went to King's. I got my degree in nutrition, and I would never regret a single thing that happened to me, because I think it's taught me so much about what I want for my life and my body and my health and my relationship with food. And I'm so happy that I'm able to share that with so many other people who I think are in the same boat.
We did this thing on the Leon Instagram, inviting people to ask questions, and I've got some. It was a big response, Emily, about people, and it's interesting that people are still seeing, in an age of AI, Claude, chat, and all that sort of stuff, and in a land of Google, either because of that or despite that, they still need authority and insight from someone like you. What do you think it is that an MSc in BSc, sorry,
I couldn't be bothered to do the masters, not gonna lie.
But I keep thinking BSc, but BSc, not BSc, not the mad cowardly. But so Bachelor of Science, a degree. First of all, I'm going to come on to my question I was going to ask, but let me just put an intermediate mezzanine question, which is, it's quite rare to have, and quite insightful to have, a BSc in nutrition, right? And big up King's for doing that, because King's are, to a large degree, a medical, establishment. But I actually, there are five medical students at King's that we fund that are from less well-off families, and we fund their living expenses, and we fund not their courses, but everything else, so they can go to King's. But to have the wits and wisdom to do nutritional, how many are there? If someone wants to do today an undergraduate course in nutrition, does every university do them today? I'm not familiar with the landscape of that.
I mean, there are different courses that are accredited, and there are different professors who lecture in those courses. And I think, so any course that's respected by the Association of Nutrition is normally quite a thorough course. But it's difficult because I feel like the science of nutrition is constantly evolving and constantly adapting. And the one thing I really, really believe in is that we don't eat nutrients, we eat food. So it's, how do you translate the science into the soul, into the plate, into the culture, into the desire, into the comfort?
If you were to critique the course, looking back, because some of the questions we had were about food and some were about the course itself and inspiring the younger people to go into nutrition. If you were to look back and be really honest about the course, what were the strengths of the course, and was there anything about the course that you would improve today?
The strengths were the incredible pioneering lecturers who I studied under.
Give a shout out to any of them in particular.
Kevin Whelan, Wendy Hall. The first lecture that I was like, wow, was when I learned that there are the same sweet taste receptors in your gut that there are your tongue. And when you actually think about the kind of signaling system, what's going on, the communication that this like whole thing is doing, literally in your stomach, like gut feelings, I can get really sciencey with it and I can really, really love it. But the weakness is a lot of nutritionists are out there and they're so hyperfixated on these micro details, on the nitty gritty bits of the science, that they don't actually know how to cook and translate it onto a plate of food. And so much of what's going wrong in the world is behavior led. It's not just about the science. What determines nutrition and what determines health is so complicated. It's one of the biggest reasons why nutritional research is so hard to do, because we are so unique. So how do you compare how one person, like even if we all ate a piece of broccoli, the way our microbiome would change, the byproducts that would produce would change, our transit time would be different, everything would be different, the amount of nutrients we absorb from the broccoli is different. So then it's like, how do you then test a single piece of broccoli and create consistent results? And the thing is, most of the research that we do is based on averages. So if I have a graph like this and you're there, how can I give you the same advice as you? And I think that's where we're stuck. But we're stuck in a sense, if you really want to overcomplicate it, but then I don't think we're stuck in a sense of, okay, let's bring it back down to basics and talk about what actually makes a difference.
Okay, so for people wanting to apply this practically, which is, I guess, most people, the challenge I think with I was in New York 2 weeks ago, and every question I asked about the gym to the personal trainer was, it depends, right? So you're not going to like this, but it depends.
It depends, yeah.
And often you do get, as you say, the personalized medicine thing has freaked people out even more to some degree, because like, how much am I going to have to pay to really understand myself? So is it fair to say that on the one hand, it depends, you're unique, but if we did try and simplify it for people and see the wood for the trees, and even though it's not entirely true, go for the 80-20 recommendations, is it possible for you as a nutritionist to describe some generalizations? And what would those be?
Yeah. And can I also just caveat that I think it's criminal that we prey on people's insecurities and vulnerabilities to make money out of health. And this whole personalized nutrition thing should not have been allowed to charge people hundreds and hundreds of pounds to stick a continuous blood glucose monitor, make them scared about glucose spikes, and try and give them personalized nutrition advice. That was all based on the same principles.
I agree with you completely.
So all of that personalized advice boiled down to sleep well. Fundamental pillar, sleep. It will influence your appetite, your hormones, the way that you respond, the way you feel, everything. Second is move. And move in a way that feels good for you. Walking is a superpower. It's free. You don't have to join a gym. Wake up first thing in the morning. Get out for at least 30, 45 minutes. Brisk pace, like you're about to miss the bus or you really need a wee, is my favorite kind of like pace. And do that multiple times a day. If you can do that 3 times a day, post meals, change your life. Third one, eat more whole foods and plants. And it's not about fear-mongering ultra-processed foods, but it's about making them a nice little, small, tiny little percentage that sometimes you dabble in. And if the sun's shining, grab a spritz in the sunshine, beautiful. But if you make the predominant focus things that have grown out the ground and are colourful and are gorgeous and are full of fibre and all the antioxidants, fantastic. And then my fourth thing would be... obviously hydrate and try and have a poo every single day. That's the best way to detox. Your body has amazing detox organisms. You don't need to take loads of fancy, crazy supplements to detox. Literally just try and stay nice and regular. You do that obviously by the whole foods and the fiber and the hydration and sleeping well, looking after your gut health. And then my final kind of, my double pillars that I think are really important is think about how food makes you feel, not just during, but also after. How content are you? Are you still thinking about food? Are you starving in an hour? And it's the emotional sensation and the feeling after you eat that is also really important to focus on, because that also then determines a lot of eating behaviors.
Amazing. And the act of eating is important, right? Because I think it was Paul McKenna, I was listening to something he said. He said it to me on a tape. But it was we don't have tapes anymore, do we? It was on mine. But it was like we tend to think about food, if we're dieting, we tend to think about food all day, apart from when we're eating it. As in, because we don't actually enjoy it. We eat it too fast. We don't actually, I know you're supposed to chew 30 times. It's a lot of times, 30 times. But it seems to me that we've lost touch with that single moment of being present when we're eating. And that comes across in your work as well.
100%. I think it's the power of the dining table, the power of the place of food and the company that you share it with. If you look at the blue zones, I don't necessarily just look at what they're eating. I look at how they're eating and how they're living. And a lot of the time they're eating communally with people that they love. They're mindful. They're not overthinking things. There is a very healthy, balanced relationship with how they're eating and how they're living. And so many of us, the way that we consume our food, we're busy, we're on the go, we're stressed, we're we need quick now. Thank God for Leon, because you still do fantastic, delicious, healthy options. But it's like that grab and go is still eaten in a rushed sense. you're stressed, your digestion's impaired, you fast for ages, then you have a massive meal because you've got to go on the go, then you get loads of fiber dumping into your gut and you feel bloated and you think, oh, I blame the food, but you're not actually looking at how you're eating and how your gut is responding to the food. And I always say, it's not the food that you're intolerant to. It's not the food that's making your gut respond. It's how your gut is reacting to the food and the lifestyle that you lead.
Absolutely. And everyone's familiar with the blue zones, right? It's something that you're familiar with. And a friend of mine called Robert Verkerk. Do you know
You've got loads of friends. These are you're name dropping like do 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 do.
No, these aren't famous people. You know famous people.
I don't.
I'm actually done with my friend. I've only got 5 friends. This is my 5th friend. Robert Verkerk. Do you know the Alliance for Natural Health at all? I'll introduce you. I'd love you to meet them. Anyway.
Yeah.
And he was with the guy that was head popular. I'm not a friend of his. And he was saying, look, okay, I know that you need to sort of have it RCT validated and everything, but if you had to decide what is the single most important thing, and he said, from what I've observed, it would be purpose.
Purpose, yes,
Yeah.
100%. 100%. It's why when people retire, their health absolutely deteriorates so quickly because as soon as you've got no purpose, your body shuts down. And I just think it's such an interesting part of health that we don't often think about. And sometimes we're literally there like obsessing with the splash of oat milk in our coffee. And it's like, yeah, but are you ignoring the patterns and the lifestyle and the life you want to build and lead? And community and connection over food is so important.
And that's what you experienced. That's what you lost when you had your eating challenges.
It was devastating. It was so devastating. And I think it's the one thing that I love to show people now. The thing that I really like about my recipes is that people sit and enjoy them with their whole family. Like it's fussy partners, kids like it. Some of my friends wean their toddlers on my super green pasta. And they all sit down and eat the same meal. And I get loads of messages from women being like, I used to make myself a meal, then my husband a meal, and then my kids a meal. So it's 3 different recipes that she had to make. And it's like, now I just make your lasagna. And the lasagna's using all the leftover shredded roast chicken from the Sunday roast. And it's got 5-6 types of plants in there. You make an olive oil bechamel with loads of tarragon chopped through. You use just pasta. Ooh, amazing. And you have something that is like complete delicious, serve with the bitter side salad, dressed in loads of vinegar, maybe a bit of garlic bread if you're feeling cheeky, and it's wonderful. And everyone enjoys it, and everyone's sitting with a bowl of nutrition in lasagna form, talking, connecting, and enjoying life.
And one of the things they don't do in the blue zones is track everything.
Oh my God, yeah. Everything is data driven now.
Yeah.
People are obsessed with numbers and obsessed with data. And for some people, like they absolutely love it. For me, it's just a slippery slope. If like I'd say it again, your body's not a maths equation. Your body doesn't run on numbers and the arbitrary numbers of 30 plants and 10,000 steps. We need to just be more present in our days and in our life and how we're living and how we feel. And it's the presentness and it's the trust of our own intuition and how we nourish our bodies and how we move our bodies that I think we've just lost. Like we all feel so vulnerable and insecure. We don't trust ourselves anymore. So then we lean to social media, we lean to experts who tell us this whole spiel and next hot topic and next clickbaity hook. And no wonder people feel so confused. But I'm just here to say it's not confusing. It does not have to be confusing.
Your advice is simple, your recipes are simple. We had about loads of questions, some of them that stick in my mind. And I kind of want to, I want to give facetious answers to these. But one was, Emily, how do I get more protein? I'm thinking, maybe, I don't know, eat more protein.
Yeah.
But I don't know. How do you answer that one?
No,
tell me. Obviously, there's a reason they're asking.
So it's not just about eating more chicken or animal-based proteins. I always say protein diversity is king. So when you have complex meals and you have loads of lovely little components, you will clock 40, 50 grams of protein in a nice wellness bowl, no issue. So maybe swap your potatoes to a more protein-style grains, like a quinoa, for example. But don't forget, pasta also has about 4 or 5 grams of protein in for a portion. Then what dressing am I use? Can I use a really good Greek yogurt to build my dressing? So we'll get our protein from the yogurt dressing. Then I'm going to add in an extra spoonful of seeds, like a mixed seeds, maybe some pumpkin seeds. Then I'm going to be using some feta, extra nice little bit of protein. And then I'll incorporate, if I do have animal-based protein or my plant-based protein, can I also mix in a tin of legumes, chickpeas, butter beans, Shao Bowl Bean Co. Best beans in the world. Yeah, she knows at the back. And then suddenly I've got fiber, I've got complexity, I've got lovely balanced carbs that are going to fuel up my muscles and energize my brain and just leave me feeling amazing. I've got my healthy fats, I've got color, and I'm hitting major protein targets. So don't just think, okay, I need to eat more protein, so I need to get a protein shake and a protein bar and eat 2 chicken breasts. Explore building these more balanced meals. And the beauty with meals, and like, so I do a series called like preparable salads that won't go soggy.
Yep.
And it's salads that you can actually make a massive big load of, because like if you are going to be making the effort to stick in 6, 7 ingredients into a bowl, you want to like at least make it last. You don't want to be doing that every single day. That will last for 3 days. So you make that lovely big complex grain salad, and you'll keep the yogurt dressing to the side, and then when you come to lunch, in the fridge, bam, into a bowl, drizzle over your dressing, like extra crumble of feta, bosh, good to go.
Amazing. Do you know what? That's a really enlightening answer, isn't it? It doesn't mean having more meat. Your tips to get all of your other ingredients to be protein rich. Otherwise, you are eating a lot of meat.
Yeah, protein diversity. Yeah. Protein diversity is a wonderful thing to focus on, because also it makes you feel fuller for longer. So it goes back to that thing of thinking about, okay, when you're building meals and you're thinking about how you feel, when you use the protein and fiber as your anchors with every single meal, it will change the way that you feel and the way that you eat. Guaranteed.
The superfood salad we created with seeds, with quinoa, with feta,
I love
because
that salad.
it was the. Thank you. Oh, I love it. I love that salad. Emily English, go print.
That's going to cost you, by the way.
Okay, fair enough. I'm just taking a treat. You heard it. Okay, fine, quick. Anyway, so the other question we had on meat then is from somebody saying, I'm going to do a meat-only diet. My friend did it. My friend's done it for a year. All of his markers are amazing. I'm going to do meat-only. Now, I've got a hypothesis, which I'm not going to share. Well, I may not never share it, but what would you say to people who are considering that meat-only diet?
Why are you considering it?
Yeah.
I think it's a thing of like, if you're actually looking to build in healthy habits, your nutrition habits have to be something you can do every single day for the rest of your life. And I tell people, if you don't think you can do it every single day for the rest of your life, don't bother, because it's not going to make an impact. Like, imagine, I keep on using this analogy at the moment. It's like, imagine the stage is every single thing that I ate over the course of a year, every single piece of food. Imagine the context of the things that we worry about that they're trying to cut out because you think that you need to go on meat only. That little portion of the UPS and the exposure to this and exposure to that, as long as the predominant focus is this whole plant-focused diet, it doesn't need to be extreme. Yeah. And I think this is the thing. It's like people like extreme sometimes. People like to be like, do you know what? I'm going to go on a detox. I'm going to fast for 72 hours. And I mean, I've done a water fast for 72 hours just for fun and I was going to swear just for fun and giggles. Yeah. And it was really interesting. And sometimes I think there's like extreme parts of health that can be just maybe fun to explore, but I don't think people should ever push their opinions onto others. That's what I don't like. It's your body, your choice. You can do whatever 100%. You want with it. If you want to be plant-based, if you want to be vegan, I've got carnivore friends. I've got people who wouldn't touch a grain with a barge pole. I've got people who have predominantly carbs. And that's totally up to them, but don't try and make other people think that they have to do the same shoot in order to be healthy.
100%.
You mentioned, thanks for all your talk, it's so helpful and informational.
Okay.
I was going to ask, you mentioned starting your day with like a 30-minute walk. There's also talk about like doing meditation in the morning, also trying to get in that daylight. But yeah, I wanted to hear your take on like how to start the day, and like should you be having like a little bit of banana or something before you do that? Yeah, just curious on like how do you start your day in a good way?
Yeah.
But Emily, a lot of people are going to be excited to tell their friends that they've been in the same room as you, and their friends are going to go, "What did she say? Is it possible?" And they're going to have they won't have the 45 minutes to say what you said. What would you like them to say that you said when they talk to their friends tomorrow? That
nutrition should be normal. And the fact that nutrition, and I say the word nutritionist, and people go, oh, I want to change that. And I just want people to feel happy and normal and comfortable with loving their bodies and loving the food that they eat at the same time.
Well, on behalf of everyone here, everyone that is going to watch this, and also on behalf of my family, my wife, my mum, and my daughters, I want to say thank you so much for doing what you're doing, Emily, for coming here today. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Well done. Thank you so much.